Most mornings, people surrender, eyes open, thumb scrolls. Before they even stand, their mind belongs to the noise, notifications, headlines, distractions dressed as urgency. But there's a silent war happening in those first minutes of your day, and most are losing. Neuroscientists have found that the brain's alpha waves, the ones tied to creativity, clarity, and calm, are strongest right after waking. But the moment you flood your mind with data, those waves vanish. You go from creator to reactor, from leader to follower. Now here's something they don't tell you. 90 seconds of silence in the morning can recalibrate your entire nervous system. Just 90 seconds. No phone, no pressure, just breath, awareness, and a single word. One word that sets the tone. Clarity, discipline, grace. You choose who you become. You set the rhythm before the world gets a say. This isn't a motivational trick, it's mental reprogramming. The Navy SEALs use similar grounding techniques before high-stakes missions. CEOs schedule silence before big decisions. Not because it's trendy, because it works. The first voice you hear in the morning should be your own. In this video, we're diving into simple daily shifts that rewire your mind, sharpen your focus, and elevate your identity. These aren't productivity hacks, they're foundational upgrades. Habits so small they seem invisible until your life begins to change. This is not about chasing success, it's about becoming the kind of person success can't ignore. Welcome to Unstoppable Ascent. If you're ready to stop reacting and start rising, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started. Too many people wake up and drown in their own lists. 15 tasks, 7 categories, a page full of guilt disguised as productivity. This isn't planning, it's self-sabotage in bullet points. The truth is, your brain isn't wired to juggle that much at once. Cognitive science shows that working memory can only handle about 4 items before it starts to break down. That's why traditional to-do lists leave you anxious before the day even begins. What works better is precision. Each morning, choose just 3 priorities. Not errands, not mindless chores, but 3 actions that move your life forward. 3 things that matter. Now here's where the shift happens. Before you do anything, take 10 minutes. Sit, close your eyes, mentally walk through each task. Not just the steps, but the energy. Picture how you'll feel, where you'll be, how you'll move through resistance when it hits. This is called mental rehearsal. Olympic athletes use it before they ever hit the track. Surgeons use it before life or death procedures. It builds neurological pathways before reality ever catches up. You can do the same. That meeting you're anxious about? See yourself calm, speaking with weight? That email you've been avoiding? Picture your fingers typing, your message clear and firm. That workout you've skipped all week? Watch yourself tie your shoes, step outside, breathe deep. By the time you begin, your brain believes you've already done it. You don't need a longer list. You need a sharper aim. Micro-planning turns chaos into clarity. It doesn't just schedule your day, it programs your mind to win it. We've forgotten how to eat. Not how to chew, not how to cook, but how to be with food. Every meal becomes background noise, a sideshow to a screen. Scroll, bite, swipe, chew. Our attention pulled in 100 directions while the body tries to do one simple thing, nourish itself. But here's what most never realize. The nervous system can't digest properly in distraction. When your eyes are on chaos, your gut holds tension. Your stomach slows down. Nutrients don't absorb the same. You're full, but you're not fed. One silent meal a day changes that. No phone, no podcast, no noise, just you, your breath, the plate, and the quiet. At first it feels strange, too slow, too awkward. You'll reach for the phone out of habit. But stay in it, because something powerful begins to happen. You notice texture, you taste more, you breathe deeper. The mind softens, your body relaxes. And in that silence, thoughts surface. Not random ones, real ones. The kind you've buried under alerts and schedules. You might remember something you've been avoiding. You might hear a question you haven't been brave enough to ask. That's presence. Monks practice it with every grain of rice. Soldiers train for it to stay alert under pressure. And somewhere deep down, your body craves it too. Because when you eat in silence, you don't just feed your body. You reclaim your attention. You show yourself you're worth the moment. People talk about self-respect. but most don't know how to sit with themselves long enough to build it. This is one meal a day, to remember who you are. And once you do that, once you really sit with yourself, you'll see the rest of your life starts to slow down with you. You see the sock on the floor, the email sitting in drafts, the text you didn't reply to. It's small. It'll only take a minute, so you leave it. You think you're saving energy, but what you're really doing is building a habit of delay, of avoidance, of dishonesty with yourself. That's the crack in the foundation. Not because the sock matters, but because you saw it and chose to pretend you didn't. Every time you notice something wrong and let it slide, your subconscious takes a note, another missed promise, another moment you told yourself, later. That's how self-trust erodes, quietly, repeatedly, until you don't believe yourself anymore. But the 2-minute integrity rule, it's different. If it takes less than 2 minutes and you notice it, it becomes your test. Fix it, handle it, now. Not because it's urgent, but because it's yours. Wipe the counter, send the apology, return the call, straighten the chair, throw out the trash. You do it not for the task, but for the message it sends. I follow through. I clean up what I touch. I finish what I start. That's how trust gets rebuilt. Not in the big wins, but in the smallest follow-throughs. You start to move through the world lighter, more clear, more confident. Because your space reflects your mind and your mind reflects your choices. And the more clutter you clear, the louder your instincts get. You stop second-guessing. You stop hiding. Most people wait for motivation, but real power is found in the moments no one sees. When you could leave it undone, but you don't. That's integrity. And the ones who live by it, they don't chase greatness. They attract it. Words are currency. Every time you speak, you're spending. But most people talk like they're printing their own money. Careless, constant, unchecked. They fill space just to feel heard, to be liked, to avoid the discomfort of silence. But silence, that's where power lives. Verbal discipline isn't about being quiet. It's about being precise. Every word should carry weight. Every sentence should earn its place. Start by watching yourself. Track your own voice. Notice when you speak just to fill the room, when you gossip to bond, when you complain for sympathy, when you explain and explain, trying to prove your worth to people who weren't even asking. Now pause. That's the moment where discipline begins. That split second where you decide not to respond, not to defend, not to make your point louder. Because here's the truth they never teach. When you can hold your tongue, you hold your ground. The most commanding people in the world, they don't rush to speak. They let others exhaust themselves. They watch, they listen, and when they talk, people lean in, because every word sounds like it matters. You don't need to share every thought. You don't need to argue every point. Let others talk in circles. You stay sharp, stay calm, stay still. It's not about being distant, it's about being intentional. Controlled speech leads to a controlled mind. And once you start practicing it, you'll notice something strange. People will treat you differently, with more respect, more space, because they feel it. Your restraint, your clarity, your presence. Verbal discipline is not silence. It's strength, wrapped in silence, waiting for the moment it actually needs to speak. People chase goals like trophies. They stack accomplishments. They check boxes. But most never stop to ask the real question. Who is this turning me into? Because it's not about what you get done. It's about who you're becoming in the process. You can be productive and still lost. Busy and still hollow. Every day you're rehearsing a version of yourself. Through habits, through choices, through the smallest decisions no one sees. You skip the gym, not just once, but as a pattern. That's not just missed fitness. That's a vote for the identity of someone who breaks promises to themselves. You stay up late scrolling, even when you said you wouldn't. That's not just lost sleep. That's shaping your reflection. Someone who trades peace for distraction. But when you pause and ask, who am I becoming with these actions? Everything sharpens. Because now it's not about checking boxes. It's about alignment. The future you disciplined, focused, respected, doesn't appear by accident. They're built in moments like this, when it's hard, when it's quiet, when no one's watching but your own conscience. You don't need a perfect day. You need honest ones. Honest. If your actions are molding someone you wouldn't admire, that's your signal. Not to feel shame, but to shift. Progress isn't about crossing finish lines. It's about walking in the direction of someone you'd be proud to meet. Ask yourself every single day, not did I do enough, but did I move like the person I'm becoming? That one question keeps your path clear, keeps your heart clean, because greatness doesn't start with effort. It starts with identity. Stress doesn't always come from the big storms. Sometimes it's the pebble in your shoe, the drawer that won't close, the charger that's always missing, the login you forget every morning. Friction. Small, constant resistance that wears down your focus, drains your patience, and slowly teaches your mind that life is harder than it has to be. But most people don't see it. They normalize it. They step over the mess, click past the glitch, tolerate the chaos, until their entire day becomes one long negotiation with avoidable tension. That's where the friction audit comes in. Once a day, pause, look around, choose one thing, one point of resistance, one small nuisance, then fix it. Not tomorrow, not next weekend, today. Clear the cluttered shelf, delete the app you don't use, organize the folder that always slows you down, label the cord, replace the battery, cancel the subscription that sneaks out your money each month. These aren't chores. These are declarations. You're saying, I deserve a life that flows. I deserve systems that serve me, not drain me. Because here's the truth. Your environment is either holding you up or holding you back. There is no neutral. Every friction point you remove sends a message to your brain. You're in control. You create ease. You make space for clarity. One drawer today, one email filter tomorrow, one conversation that's long overdue. You start small, but each fix compounds. Each decision sharpens the edges of your life, until one day you wake up, and everything around you feels like it was built to support the person you're becoming. That's not luck. That's discipline, applied in silence, respected in results. We move fast, from one thing to the next, meeting to meeting, room to room, scroll to scroll, and somewhere in that rush, we forget to arrive. Most people live in constant carryover. The stress from the last task bleeds into the next. The frustration from the car ride follows you into the house. You answer a call, but your mind is still in that email. You smile at your family, but you're still in a meeting. No reset, no pause, just noise on top of noise. But here's the truth. Your nervous system needs transitions. Without them, you pile tension until it becomes your default. That's why we practice mindful transitions. 10 seconds, that's all. When you leave one task, pause, stand still, breathe deep, drop your shoulders, let go of what just happened, and ask yourself one quiet question. How do I want to show up for what's next? You don't bring the meeting into your workout. You don't bring the traffic into your home. You don't bring yesterday's weight into today's opportunity. Those 10 seconds, they're not empty, they're sacred. That's where intention is born. That's where energy gets redirected. That's where identity is reinforced, not in the doing, but in the being. Athletes do it before every play. Surgeons do it between procedures. Even actors reset before every scene, because presence is too valuable to waste. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the busiest. They're the most aware. They know when to shift, when to reset, when to breathe before they begin again. 10 seconds. Not to escape, but to return to yourself, to your purpose. Because how you enter often decides how you perform. The world says more. More books, more podcasts, more content, faster, louder, longer. But here's what no one tells you. Your brain doesn't grow through overload. It grows through absorption. You don't build wisdom by binging 5 hours of motivational noise. You build it by sipping one truth and letting it sink. One paragraph, one idea, one sentence that hits something in your soul. Then stop, sit with it, let it echo in your mind. Ask yourself, how does this apply to me right now? Because learning isn't collecting, it's integrating. Read 10 pages and you'll remember a line. Read one paragraph and live with it. You'll remember it for life. The mind retains more in quiet repetition than chaotic stimulation. The most ancient teachers knew this. Stoics wrote a single line in the morning, then carried it in their pocket. Warriors repeated one phrase before every battle, not to fill space, but to form character. But we've traded depth for speed. We scroll through 10 self-help reels and call it growth. We highlight every page and never return to a single one. We know the words, but not the weight behind them. Learning in sips brings that weight back. One clip, one story, one principle. Then pause. Ask, where do I see this in my life? What would change if I lived this today? You're not a student of information. You're a student of transformation. And transformation doesn't come from how much you take in. It comes from how deep one thing can go when you let it. Every day, the world teaches you to count, to measure, to keep score. You gave your time. What did you get back? What? You helped someone. Did they notice? You shared kindness. Did they return it? And slowly, without realizing it, you start to move through life with a ledger in your hand, a quiet expectation hiding under every gesture. You're not giving, you're trading. But giving without expectation, that's different. That's rare. And that's where your power starts to shift. Once a day, offer something. Not big, not loud. One thing. Hold the door. Offer your full attention when someone speaks. Say the kind thing, not because it'll be remembered, but because you mean it. Share knowledge with someone who can't repay you. Give your energy and walk away with peace, not a receipt. It rewires the mind. Because expectation is rooted in scarcity. It says if I give, I lose. But giving freely says, I have more than enough. It shifts your internal state from survival to strength, from keeping count to keeping purpose. And that change, that's not just emotional. Neuroscience backs it. Studies show that consistent, intentional generosity activates reward centers in the brain, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, but only when it's given with no strings attached. So when you give, don't look over your shoulder. Don't check who saw. Don't wait for applause. You give because it aligns you with the kind of person you've decided to become. And every day you do, something in you gets lighter, stronger, freer. Because the moment you stop needing anything back is the moment you realize you've already become the one who has something to give. The day's over, lights dim, the noise fades. And in that quiet space where the world stops demanding, where no one's watching, you meet yourself. Most people don't look. They scroll. They snack. They drift. They're tired, they say. They'll reflect tomorrow. But the truth is they're not tired. They're avoiding something. That conversation they dodged. That task they pushed off. That feeling they shoved down. It's all still there waiting. And night is the only time it speaks loud enough to be heard. This is where the honesty scan begins. Not a checklist. Not guilt. Just one question. Did I avoid anything today? Did I avoid speaking the truth? Did I avoid discomfort? Did I avoid growth? And here's the key. Don't judge it. Don't defend it. Don't explain it away. Just see it. Observe it like you're watching someone else's story. Because awareness is the seed of change. You can't improve what you won't admit. You can't shift what you won't face. But once you see it clearly, calmly, you've already started to loosen its grip. Most people think transformation begins in the morning. It doesn't. It begins the night before. When you choose to end the day with truth instead of distraction, that's how clarity is built. Night by night, you sharpen your awareness. You spot the patterns. You face the things that once controlled you. And eventually you become someone who doesn't just sleep through the night, but rests with peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing is hidden. And in a world full of masks and filters, that kind of honesty, that's freedom. Change doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. A breath before the next task. A pause before the next word. A drawer finally cleared. A compliment given without expecting one back. These aren't revolutions. They're refinements. Quiet, deliberate steps that shape how you show up in the world. Not once, not in bursts, but daily. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And when those systems are rooted in intention, in presence, in self-respect, your life stops chasing greatness and starts becoming it. So ask yourself tonight, what small upgrade did I make today? And ask again tomorrow and the next day. That's how you build a life that doesn't just look good but feels right. If this message moves something in you, like this video, and if you're on a journey to level up your mindset, your habits, your direction, subscribe to our channel, Unstoppable Ascent. We don't just talk growth, we live it. one quiet discipline at a time.